Another Bengals moment with Mo Egger.
Thanks for checking out this week's Bengals Moment on 700WLW.com and ESPN1530.com. My name is Mo Egger. It is the Week 11 edition of the Bengals Moment, post-Pittsburgh, pre-Ravens. The Bengals are, of course, coming off that 24-17 loss at Paul Brown Stadium at the hands of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And they go into a big one on Sunday, a big matchup in the AFC North, road game against the Baltimore Ravens. It's four-down territory. I think like most Bengals fans, I'm disappointed, yet not discouraged. You lose to the Pittsburgh Steelers in a big game like that, there's some obvious ramifications. Cincinnati is now a half game out of first place, and they failed to take advantage of what Baltimore did at Seattle on Sunday when they laid an egg in losing to the Seahawks. I was troubled by the fact that the Bengals were scored upon so easy early, namely on third down. Cincinnati struggled. Pittsburgh converted on 5 of their first 7 third down attempts. It looked a little too easy for Ben Roethlisberger and company. And this Bengals defense has a hard time covering tight ends, at least tight ends named Heath Miller, who continues to make big plays against the Bengals. At the same time, this was a measuring stick game. We talked about it all week long. The Bengals were finally going to have an opportunity to see how they stacked up against one of the NFL's elite. They stood in there toe-to-toe. They didn't back down. All that cliche stuff. At the end of the day, I think you felt pretty good about where they are in relation to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Like it or not, they are what the Bengals want to be. I think we saw on Sunday. They've got a ways to go, but the gap between Pittsburgh and Cincinnati is starting to close. And Andy Dalton, who had a kind of a mixed bag on Sunday, some good, obviously some not so good. The 2 interceptions, including the last pick of the game that was a completely telegraphed pass. I think Sunday was an incredibly valuable learning experience for Andy, and I think he's good enough and intelligent enough to apply those lessons very, very soon. So the big news post-Pittsburgh was the injury to Leon Hall, a torn Achilles, done for the season. You feel bad for Leon because this is a tough injury to come back from, especially for speed guys like corners. In terms of the overall impact of the defense, look, the secondary play has to get better. I really haven't been all that impressed by Leon's play so far this season. He's still their best DB, but I don't know that he's played to the level of an elite caliber corner. I think what he does is replaceable if Adam Jones is at 100%. Now, that's a big question. He's been on the field exactly once this season. You saw when Adam Jones is on the field exactly what he can do in special teams. Let's see what he can do covering people. I think the saving grace is this. Adam Jones has been part of the team for a while. They've got some backups who have been part of the team for a while. Kelly Jennings has at least been here since August, and boy, his play leaves a lot to be desired. But he's not some guy off the street. There's also this. If you look at the Bengals' remaining 7 games, only one of them, game against Pittsburgh, is against a team that has a passing offense ranked in the NFL's top 10. There's a lot of mediocre passing offenses that the Bengals will be facing this year, and that could help some of the secondary issues. Baltimore this week ranked 11th in the NFL in passing efficiency, and Joe Flacco's not having a great season. So it's not like they're going up against great quarterbacks who can pick apart depleted secondaries. They get a break in this regard still. Leon Hall's shoes, despite not playing his best this season, big shoes to fill. Let's see if Adam Jones is up to the task. Look, this team has to start running the football better, namely with Cedric Benson. In his last 4 games, number 32 is averaging just 3.3 yards a pop. That's not going to work on Sunday. That's not going to work across the final 7 games of the season. Now, the good news is they're starting to figure out how to most effectively use Bernard Scott. 38 yards on 7 carries against the Pittsburgh Steelers, played well against the Tennessee Titans, passable effort against the Seattle Seahawks. They've got to start getting 4 yards a pop from Cedric Benson, specifically on first down when they decide to run the football. They've got to start making life easier for Andy Dalton, especially as the weather gets worse. When the weather gets worse, really puts a premium on the ground game. You know that. That's going to put a premium on Cedric Benson's ability to eat up chunks of yardage, eat up clock, help move the chains. That hasn't happened that much this season. This is an offense where Cedric Benson is supposed to play a big role. The time for that to start is now. All right, so another huge game on Sunday. The Bengals are 6-3, Baltimore 6-3. The Bengals have to go to M&T Bank Stadium for a game on Sunday. You lose, you're 6-4, and now you're trailing both Baltimore and Pittsburgh by a game. And just to even up the tiebreaker scenario with those teams, you're going to have to beat both head-to-head, including the Steelers in Pittsburgh. The Ravens and Steelers don't play a very tough schedule the rest of the way, either team. Both teams have 2 games against winning teams. Both play the Bengals, both play the San Francisco 49ers. And so it stands to reason that neither team is going to lose all that much down the stretch, and the Bengals have to go to Pittsburgh, which is obviously going to be really, really tough. It doesn't mean their playoff hopes are dashed if they lose on Sunday, but it is really, really hard to imagine, and I'm not throwing in the towel, it is really hard to imagine this team winning the AFC North if they don't get a win in Baltimore on Sunday. You can hear the games live on 700 WLW, 1027 EBN, and of course, ESPN 1530.com. Join me here next week for another Bengals moment on 700WLW.com and ESPN 1530.com.